Once upon a time, in a big city full of tall buildings and busy streets, there lived a handsome billionaire named Alex. Alex had everything money could buy. He owned fancy cars, huge houses, and even a private jet. But deep inside, he felt lonely. He worked all day in his office, making more money, but he had no one to share his life with. One rainy afternoon, Alex was driving his shiny car through the city. He saw a young woman standing under a small umbrella at a bus stop. Her name was Emily. She was a poor orphan girl who lived in a tiny apartment. Emily worked as a waitress in a small cafe to pay her bills. She had no family, but she was kind and always smiled at everyone. Alex stopped his car because the rain was too heavy. He offered Emily a ride. "Hello," he called gently. "You look freezing. The bus might not come for a long time in this storm. Can I give you a ride home?" Emily turned, surprised. Water dripped from her umbrella onto her nose. She saw a handsome man in a beautiful car, smiling like he truly cared. Her cheeks turned pink. "Thank you," she said softly, "but I don't know you. Is it safe?" "My name is Alex," he answered. "I promise I'm only trying to help. Just a kind stranger on a rainy day." Emily looked at the dark sky, then back at him. Something in his eyes felt honest. She nodded. "Okay, thank you." She climbed in carefully, holding her wet umbrella away from the soft leather seats. The car smelled of rain and something warm, like pine trees. Alex turned the heat higher. "Where do you live?" he asked. "Near the river, by the old stone bridge," she said. "It's not far." Alex drove slowly, not wanting the ride to end too soon. The rain drummed on the roof like a quiet song. They began to talk. "What do you do, Emily?" he asked. "I'm a waitress at Sunny Corner Cafe. I serve coffee and cakes. I like making people happy, even if it's just for a few minutes." "That's beautiful," Alex said. "Most people forget how important small kindnesses are." Emily shyly smiled. "And you have such a nice car." Alex laughed quietly. "I run a company. We make phones and computers. It keeps me busy, maybe too busy." They talked more as the city lights blurred past the windows. Emily told him how she loved reading books late at night under her one lamp. She dreamed of faraway beaches, snowy mountains, and green forests. Alex listened, truly listened, for the first time in years. He told her how he gave money to charities, but it never felt like enough. When they reached her little building, the rain had slowed to a whisper. Lights glowed in the bakery windows below. "This is me," Emily said. "Thank you, Alex. You saved me from becoming a drowned kitten." He smiled. "It was my pleasure. Be warm tonight, Emily." She stepped out, turned back once, and waved. Alex watched her until she disappeared inside. Then he sat in the car a long moment, feeling something new blooming in his chest, like spring after a long winter. That night, Alex could not sleep. He walked through his huge, quiet house, thinking of green eyes and a gentle voice. The next morning, before his assistants even arrived, he drove straight to Sunny Corner Cafe. The little bell above the door rang as he entered. The smell of fresh coffee and warm bread filled the air. Emily was behind the counter, tying her apron. When she saw him, her face lit up. "Alex, what are you doing here?" "I came for the best coffee in the city," he said with a grin, "and maybe to see if you have a break soon." She laughed, a sound like silver bells. "My break is in 15 minutes." He ordered coffee and waited at a small table by the window. When Emily joined him, she brought 2 warm croissants. "On the house," she said, "for the kind stranger who saved me from the rain." They talked for the whole break. Then Alex asked, "Can I take you to dinner tonight? Somewhere nice?" Emily's eyes widened. "Dinner? I don't have fancy clothes." "You are beautiful just as you are," he said simply. "Please say yes." She did. That evening, Alex picked her up in a different car, this one silver and quiet. He took her to a restaurant on the top floor of a tall building where the city sparkled below them like a box of jewels. Emily had never seen anything like it. She wore her best dress, simple blue like her apron, and looked more lovely than any woman in diamonds. They ate slowly, talking for hours. Alex ordered everything Emily wanted to try. She laughed when dessert came, a chocolate cake shaped like a heart. Over the next weeks, they met almost every day. Alex would appear at the cafe at closing time and walk her home. Sometimes he brought flowers, roses one day, wildflowers the next. Emily taught him simple joys he had forgotten: eating ice cream on park benches, feeding ducks by the lake, watching street musicians play happy songs. One sunny Saturday, Alex took her on his boat along the river. The water was blue, the sky endless. They sat close, wind in their hair. "Emily," Alex said quietly, "you have changed everything for me. I was rich, but I was poor inside. Now my heart feels full." Emily rested her head on his shoulder. "And you make me feel like dreams can come true. I was always alone, but now I feel seen." Alex turned to her. The sun painted gold on her face. Very gently he leaned in and kissed her. It was soft, warm, full of promise. Emily kissed him back, and in that moment the world felt perfect. Their love grew like a beautiful flower, day by day. Alex bought her books, hundreds of them. Emily cooked simple dinners in her tiny kitchen, and Alex said they tasted better than any restaurant meal. They danced in the rain again, laughing like children. They watched sunsets from rooftops. They held hands everywhere they went. One weekend, Alex drove her far out of the city to his beach house. White sand stretched forever. Waves sang their endless song. They sat close, wind in their hair. "Emily," Alex said quietly, "I love you more than words can say. You are my home, my joy, my everything." He knelt on one knee in the warm sand and opened a small box. Inside was a ring that sparkled like captured starlight. "Will you marry me?" Tears filled Emily's eyes. The wind played with her hair. "Yes, yes, Alex, 1,000 times yes." They kissed as the waves clapped around them. That night, they walked back to the house hand in hand, planning a future full of love. They chose a date for the wedding. Invitations went out. Emily picked a simple white dress that made her look like an angel. Alex could not stop smiling. Friends from the cafe and colleagues from his company all wanted to celebrate with them. A week before the wedding, they held a small engagement party at Alex's garden. Fairy lights twinkled in the trees. Music floated softly. Emily wore a pale green dress, and Alex could not take his eyes off her. Guests laughed and danced. Then, near the end of the evening, a man arrived whom no one knew. He was tall, with gray hair and a dark coat, even though the night was warm. He walked straight to Emily. "Emily," he said in a deep voice, "at last I found you." Emily turned. Her smile faded. "Do I know you?" The man's eyes filled with tears. He pulled an old photograph from his pocket, a faded picture of a baby wearing a tiny silver necklace with a heart pendant. Emily's hand flew to her own neck. She still wore that same necklace, the only thing left from her baby days at the orphanage. "I am your father," the man said softly.
My name is Robert. I lost you many years ago. I have searched for so long." The garden seemed to grow quiet. Emily's knees felt weak. Alex stepped close, putting an arm around her. "I don't understand," Emily whispered. "Why didn't you come sooner?" Robert's voice broke. "I made terrible mistakes. I owed money to dangerous people. I was afraid they would hurt you, so I left you at the orphanage where you would be safe. Your mother, she died soon after. I have carried guilt every day since, but now I am free of those deaths. I saw your picture in the newspaper, your engagement announcement. I knew it was you." Emily began to cry. All her life she had dreamed of family. Alex felt his heart twist, happy for her, but afraid too. Would this change everything? That night, they invited Robert to stay in one of the guest rooms. Emily could not sleep. She sat with the old photograph, touching the baby face that was her own. The next days were filled with stories. Robert told Emily about her mother, how she loved to sing, how she had chosen her name because it meant hope. He described the little house they lived in before everything fell apart. Emily listened, hungry for every word. She began to call him Dad in a shy voice. Alex watched, trying to be happy for her, but something felt uneasy in his heart. Robert asked many questions about Alex's companies, his houses, his money. He spoke often of needing a fresh start, maybe a small loan to open a business. One evening, Alex awoke in the night. He heard a low voice from the garden. He walked quietly to the window. Robert was on the phone, speaking in whispers. "Yes, she believes me completely. The necklace worked perfectly, and the billionaire, he trusts her. We're inside the house. Soon we'll have access to everything. Just wait a little longer." Alex felt ice run through his veins. He stepped back silently. His heart broke, not for the money, but for what this would do to Emily. The next morning, Alex quietly hired a private detective. Within days, the truth came back. Robert was not Emily's father. He was a known con man who worked with a gang of thieves. He had stolen the photograph and necklace from an old case file. He had read about Alex and Emily's engagement in society pages and saw a chance for the biggest score of his life. Alex's hands shook as he read the report. He loved Emily too much to let her hurt longer. That evening, after dinner, he asked her to walk with him in the garden. "Emily, my love," he began gently, "there is something I must tell you." He showed her the papers. At first, she could not believe it. Tears streamed down her face. "No, he told me stories about my mother. He knew things." Alex held her as she cried. "He researched, darling. He is very good at lying, but we know the truth now." Emily's heart felt torn in two. She had tasted family, only to lose it again. But when she looked at Alex, strong, honest, loving, she knew where her real home was. Together, they made a careful plan. They invited Robert to dinner the next night and acted as if nothing had changed. Emily smiled bravely. Robert relaxed, thinking everything was going perfectly. After dessert, he excused himself to pack a few things. In reality, he went to Alex's study to steal valuable watches and papers he could sell. That was when the police arrived, quietly, professionally. Alex had called them earlier. They caught Robert with the stolen items in his bag. Emily stood in the doorway, eyes full of sadness and strength. "Why?" she asked him one last time. Robert looked down. "For money at first. But these weeks with you, Emily, I started to wish it was true. I'm sorry." The police took him away. Emily cried in Alex's arms until there were no tears left. The wedding was delayed only 1 week. When the day finally came, the sun shone bright in a perfect blue sky. The garden was filled with white flowers and the people who truly loved them.
Emily walked toward Alex in her simple white dress, more beautiful than any princess. Her hand was steady in his. They promised forever to each other in front of friends and the children from the orphanage Emily had already begun helping. When they kissed as husband and wife, everyone cheered and the birds seemed to sing louder. After the wedding, they traveled the world. Paris, Rome, tropical islands with water clear as glass. But the place they loved most was home. They turned one wing of the big house into a children's center. Orphans came to read books, play, and feel loved. Emily finally opened her bookstore, small and cozy, right in the city center. Alex was there every day after work, helping stack shelves and read stories to little ones. Years passed like pages in a beautiful book. One day, Emily found an old book returned from the orphanage. Inside was a letter in faded ink addressed to "My dearest Emily." She opened it with trembling hands. It was from her real mother, written just before she passed away. "My sweet girl," it read, "I am sorry I must leave you, but know this, you are loved beyond measure. One day you will find a love so true it will heal every heart. You will build a family stronger than blood. Be brave, be kind, and never stop dreaming. I am watching over you always. With all my heart, Mama." Emily cried happy tears. She showed the letter to Alex. They framed it and hung it in their bedroom. They adopted a little girl with big, curious eyes. They named her Lily after Emily's mother. Lily grew up hearing the story of the rainy day her parents met. "It's my favorite fairy tale," she would say. But life brings gentle tests too. When Lily was 5, Emily became very ill, a rare sickness that made her weak and tired. Doctors from all over the world came. Alex never left her side. He held her hand through long nights, read her favorite books aloud, and whispered, "You are my strength, Emily. Fight for us." With love, medicine, and time, Emily grew strong again. The day she walked out of the hospital, Alex carried her to the car like a bride, and they drove straight to the beach where he had proposed. They sat watching the waves, grateful for every new day. Their love inspired others. They wrote a book together, Rainy Hearts, about second chances and true family. It became beloved around the world. Children read it and dreamed. Couples read it and remembered why they fell in love. Time flew softly. Lily grew up, married, and gave them grandchildren with laughter like bells. Alex's hair turned silver, but his eyes stayed bright. Emily's smile never faded. On their 50th wedding anniversary, family and friends gathered once more in the same garden. Fairy lights twinkled again. Music played softly. Alex and Emily danced slowly, the way they had 50 years before. Near the end of the evening, the doorbell rang. A woman stood there, about 40 years old, with green eyes and brown curls, just like Emily's. "I'm sorry to come uninvited," she said nervously. "My name is Sarah. I think I'm your sister." She held out papers, adoption records, DNA results. Many years ago, Emily's mother gave birth to twins. One baby went to the orphanage, the other to a different family far away. Sarah had spent years searching. Emily's hands flew to her mouth. Tears came instantly. She opened her arms and Sarah ran into them. They held each other and cried, 50 lost years melting away in one embrace. Alex watched, eyes shining. The garden filled with happy voices. Lily brought cake. Grandchildren danced around the two sisters discovering each other. Later that night, Alex and Emily sat on their favorite bench under the stars. "Remember that rainy day?" Alex asked softly. "How could I forget?" Emily answered, resting her head on his shoulder. "It was the beginning of everything."
Alex took her hand. "And look what we built. Love stronger than storms, family bigger than we ever dreamed." Emily smiled. Life is full of wonders. And so the handsome billionaire and the poor orphan girl lived a life rich with love, laughter, healing, and happy surprises. They showed the world that true wealth is measured in hearts touched, hands held, and promises kept. Their story became a light for anyone who felt alone. No matter how dark the rain, love can find you, warm you, and lead you home.
Thank you for sharing this journey with Alex and Emily. If their story touched your heart, like, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs hope today. Tell us in the comments, what moment made you smile the most or cry happy tears? We read every one. Until the next beautiful tale, keep believing in love.